Namaskar. Things are going bad to worse in Canada for Hindus. Why do I say that? Well, I'm going to tell you what has been happening in the last few days. Since events outside were happening, I didn't have chance to cover it, but I have a lot of information to share with you. Things are getting really bad and nasty. Hindus are being squeezed tight, and even things that are supposed to be helping Hindus turn out to be not so helpful after all. I'm going to explain to you all this stuff and more using a slide deck. Small request to all of you to please like this video as I start this slide deck. Hindu phobia is raising its ugly head in Canada. What is really surprising is that the native Canadians, or should I say white Canada, there are native Canadians who are like, American Indians, red Indians. There are also Canadians, and they are not very high in number. The white settlers who came in the 16th, 17th, 18th century, they are beginning to start painting everyone as the extreme KKK elements, and that's the problem that the Hindus need to untangle themselves out of in this particular situation. Next one, please. What started out as a helpful gesture on part of the Consulate of India, or should I say High Commission of India to Canada, to try and help people with their proof of life certificates. Remember, the month of November is when you are supposed to, or you are expected to furnish proof of life certificate, and many, about 1,000 every time the consulate or the High Commission sets up a meeting, get their papers processed, and this time only first two took place, after which, even in the first two, we got a lot of disruptions. The Khotestanis came in, they disrupted, they beat up people who were trying to get help there. Hindus were beaten up, and a lot of Sikhs were also there in these camps to get their proof of life certificate. I've told you this before also, that Sikhs need help because many of them may have served in either government or in armed forces, whatever. And now what has happened is, after the first two events on 16th and 17th, there were two events in the Toronto area. Both of them were cancelled thanks to the police saying that they need money to even host this, and the Indian High Commission would have none of it because this was something that was way beyond what they had expected to do. This is something like a service that they are doing for the people of Canada who still want to keep getting their pensions in India. Well, they'll have to figure out a different way, because what happened was both those events were cancelled. And moving along, next one, please. The weekend after that, every event, they were supposed to be on this weekend, Saturday, Sunday, and also next Saturday and next Sunday, I believe. So all these things have been cancelled now, and the Indian High Commission has said, okay, 4,000 people or more probably will not be able to get their proof of life certificate. They don't have a way to solve this problem. And in fact, in one case, they even tried to tell the police that, well, we can have this in your premises. So you don't have to send people across over to a temple to oversee the security. We can do it in your premises. Even that, the police was not willing to consider. Listen, I have to tell you this. To the Hindus of Canada, the police, the law, I don't know about the law, the order, which is the police, as well as the politics, the political establishment, barring a small set of people such as Chandra Arya, they have stopped representing you. They've stopped listening to you. It is time that Hindus woke up and started organizing themselves. And all I can tell you is, you have my full support to all my brothers and sisters, also to a lot of Sikhs who also now are beginning to come out in numbers, moderates, and they are coming out in support of the Hindus, and this is also beginning to pick up momentum. However, there are a lot of forces arrayed against them, particularly this Justin Trudeau gang and a bunch of other Indian Canadians. I'm going to go through the politicians in the central Canadian Parliament from different parties, and I'm going to tell you some hard truths that you need to know as a Hindu. Next one, please. See, what happened on 5th of November was Hindus and Sikhs came together to condemn the acts of the 𝗤𝙜𝙤 Khotestanis, and in this they united and they passed a resolution condemning violent Khalistani extremists and their divisive, dangerous actions. Actually, I have a bunch of links that I'm going to provide to you. I will put it as soon as this video finishes. I'll put them in the links section under description. You can take a look at them. You can read to understand how many different things that are in place. In fact, there is one petition that, as a Canadian Hindu, I would like you to consider signing, and I'm going to give you the link to that one also, because now this has become quite a bit of a problem. And I'll tell you what that petition says, because it's important that we understand why this petition. This is called 𝗤𝗚𝗂𝗍𝗏, and in this 𝗤𝗚𝗂𝗍𝗏, doxing. What is doxing? The unauthorized and malicious release of private information to harm or intimidate, alongside digital harassment, infringes on Canadians' rights to privacy, safety, and free expression, leaving victims vulnerable to threats, harassment, and harm. Canadians, including licensed professionals, employees, employers, and regulated professions, and other business owners targeted by doxing may face unjust penalties from employers, professional associations, or regulatory bodies based on reputational harm rather than verified misconduct. Actually, 2 years ago, I had hosted a realtor who basically got thrown out of one of the schools councils in the Toronto area, Brampton, I think. And all it was he put one post, a bit sarcastic, and the entire, this was the Muslim community that is in big numbers in Toronto. They were the ones who ganged up against them. At that time, the Khalistani problem was not that big an issue. And this is now full steam. Professionals are finding it difficult, and if you don't choose their side, if you don't donate to their cause, you are being put through the ringer. And the whole time, the Justin Trudeau administration is acting deaf and blind. But there is not much on the other side either. Even if you vote en masse to the Conservatives, I don't know how things are going to be better. I'm just going to explain to you a little bit more, and also a solution on what needs to be done. So this is the action alert, and it is reference link number 2 in the references that I'm going to provide to you. Please do click on that link and then put your name and address, because this needs to be somebody who lives in that area, so they understand your pain. Especially anywhere in Canada you can be, and you need to give that code so that your legislator gets the message. And it has been massively copied to all the lawmakers in Ottawa as well as in many states. So this is going to be heard. This is your chance to make your voice to be heard. You know, for some time I thought, okay, there were city resolutions in Brampton as well as in I think one of the 𝗣𝗚𝗍𝗏𝘅, I think in Vancouver in British Columbia. I thought, okay, these cities are passing some laws saying that any demonstration of any kind is banned, or if you want to demonstrate, you need to keep 100 meters distance. Well, interestingly, when the final bylaw was promulgated, 173-2024, this is for the city of Brampton, guess what? There was a loophole. The loophole is Section 5 says, nuisance demonstrations prohibited. No person shall organize or participate in a nuisance demonstration within 100 meters of the property line of any place of worship. For greater certainty, Section 5 is not intended to prohibit peaceful gatherings, protests, or demonstration, including any such activities that occur as part of a labor union strike. Okay, fair enough. For the labor union, they are making an exception. Look at the B. Section 5 does not prevent persons from peacefully protesting against foreign governments at a place of worship. Aha! That is the loophole these people wanted. And then 6 for justice, the Pannu Punjabi, well, there's another P I have in mind, but let it go. They went to town saying that we are exempt from doing this, we can do whatever we want, which means even the 100-meter restriction, get this thing, guys, even the 100-meter distance restriction does not apply if these lumpens will start protesting against a foreign country. Remember, there was one, who looked like a sympathizer of the Indian cause, Hindu cause. He said that, yeah, the Khalistanis should be shown their place, blah, blah, blah. And then there was a follow-up. Somebody asked him, how come all the Hindus are having Indian flags? And then he started saying that, no, 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 this is not right. Saying carrying Hindu flags was wrong. But he didn't say anything about the Khalistani flag. This is the typical Canadian politician for you, and he's actually a sympathizer. So a lot of education also is needed. Many of them can't differentiate Adam from Eve. They don't know who's a Sri Lankan. They don't know he's a Pakistani, who's a Bangladeshi, who's a Hindu, who's a Sardar. Maybe Sardar they know because people are wearing pagdis. But there's a lot of infiltration of these ranks from people in Pakistan who have just essentially tied up a pagdi and showed up and saying that they speak Punjabi. Much of the swearing, the bad language, the threats, all these things against Indian officials, Indian government, Indian politicians, Hindus is being done in Punjabi. And it is done with an intent so that those who can understand will understand, and those who are supposed to understand and listen cannot understand. I'm talking about the neutral media, the neutral populace, whether it was New Zealand or in Canada or in United States or in UK or in Australia, you name it. This is the ploy that they are doing. And I can tell you, all this can only be possible if there is a wink, wink, nod, nod arrangement with some agencies. I will leave that to you. And why this country is putting itself through such dirtful attitude, I cannot really fathom. And you saw in the recently concluded G20 how Justin Trudeau was not even being given the time of the day by the other leaders. How much has this person fallen? I hope the Canadians didn't miss those video sites. Anyway, that's all I can tell you. Now, these are some of the politicians who understand you, but they choose to take the other side. There is Ruby Sahota, Liberal. 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝙪 𝗔𝙤𝙤. This guy was a defense minister, and I think he was given special treatment when he visited India. And then afterwards, actually, he got kicked out of his post, if I remember correctly. I don't remember the reason for that. There is some vague memory here that he actually got kicked out. Then there is Randeep Sarai and 𝗒𝙗𝙗𝙗𝙗 𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏𝗏 which 𝙥𝙤𝙤𝘀 is the leader. They are not from the NDP. NDP, you have 𝙥𝙤𝙤𝘀. Also, in the Conservatives, you have 𝗤𝗚𝘂𝗏 and 𝗤𝙧𝙤𝙤 𝗂𝘀. Unfortunately, not one of them is taking Hindu side right now. You may see a few things said here and there from the Conservatives, but even there, they messed it up big time. In fact, I don't know if you know this or not, but in United Kingdom, there was a Diwali party arranged by the Prime Minister in which meat and other stuff was served, and it was very offensive because 99% of the invitees were Hindus. So it is, these are all things that are either inadvertently done or done with a purpose. I don't know. At least they would have liked to know that, the food that's going to be served in number 10 Downing Street may not be of your liking or may not be to your liking. So a lot of things happening, guys. And I can only tell you that Hindus are finding it very, very difficult right now. Also, remember that incident where one of the cops was not in uniform and he was protesting alongside the Khotestanis and he was suspended? His man, according to Daniel Boardman, has now been reinstated. No punishment. Terrorism and racism is okay, Canada, Brampton, as long as it's one of the establishment's favorite terrorist group. This is the same thing that, Pakistan used to say, good terrorists versus bad terrorists, and so on and so forth. These are all snakes that you are rearing in your backyard. They are going to come and bite you. Anyway, that is my 2 cents. Also, I'm hearing some other incredible stuff. Next slide, please. There is a secondary high school, 𝗤𝗂𝘁𝙀𝘆. This high school has launched a contest for grades 8 to 12 and to write poetry about the 1984 Sikh riots, with winners invited to 𝗣𝗚𝘂𝗿 𝙁𝙧𝙤𝙪, actually a terrorist. While it is to be recognized that there were riots in 1984, the the committee now, the people who are in that school, they have asked that you also capture what happened in 1985, on June 23rd, 1985, when Air India Flight 182 that had 329 innocent lives, innocent passengers, they all died. You write about that too. Why do you want to capture only one side of the history? You see how these kind of thoughts are also being sown. This happened in San Francisco also, in one primary school, where I think it was a 7-year-old who wrote some nonsense and brought it to school. This could not have been done by that kid. It must have been their parents. So this reflects the kind of thinking they have. No scruples. Okay, and basically they are all in some way or the other in trouble with the law, and they think that somehow they can create something out of it, go and stand in front of a judge and say that I am being persecuted in India, that is why I fled here, that's why all my problems, and then therefore I need to get a permanent residency or asylum here. This seems to be the argument these people are putting forth. Unfortunately, many judges fall for this. Again, this needs to be, some education needs to be done for the judges also, the judiciary also. Now, how are the Khotestanis funded? Where is the money coming from? Well, for the most part, it is believed that the money is coming from drugs and human smuggling. According to a reliable source, KKK's violent gangs have wiped out all the other gangs. You typically go to any country, you'll have a particular Mexican gang or a Colombian gang or X or Y or Z. These will be the ones who will be dealing with drugs. Evidently, I'm told that in Canada, there's only one gang that consists of elements that are sympathetic to the KKK. When will the state governments and the central government in Canada act? Do they even understand the kind of problem? These are the people that are, putting or frying the brains of their youth, everybody's youth. People are getting on drugs like crazy now. When are they going to, fix this problem? Unfortunately for the Hindus, they will have to fight this on their own, except for Chandra Arya, one politician that I have seen consistently stand up for the Hindus. I don't see many. There are a few journalists who are pro-Hindu. Unfortunately, they are also being attacked left, right, and center, and that does not bode well for the Hindus. I'm also told there is much muck. We can close that. There is much muck happening in some of the temples, and that the temple management could be doing a better job of organizing Hindus. Guys, I can tell you this. We have to imbibe what Yogi Adityanath said. Batenge to katenge. At this point of time, we have to come together. It doesn't matter which temple. If every temple is in one way or the other, looking in one direction or the other, maybe there is a multi-purpose temple that is needed, where you have Shiva, Vishnu, Lakshmi, Durga, Saraswati, Ganapati, and every Kali, everything together. Everybody can go and pray there. This could be crowdsourced by you and I, the common people of Canada, so they don't come after some of the rich funders who end up, footing much of the bill to build a temple, except that they have some closets, they have some skeletons in their closet, and the government of the day goes and arm twists them into doing funny things. So I am seeing a lot of other stuff being told. For example, I'm hearing, so this is not good, and I hope I'm wrong about this. This is not good, what I'm going to tell you. Many gurudwaras are housing those who come to Canada on a tourist visa and trying to get permanent residency or work permit, and also giving shelter to illegals who are being transported from the US. This is the same thing that I tell about masjids. A masjid is a place of worship, not a place to store Molotov cocktail or stones or swords and pickaxes. Now, this is being said about Gurudwaras, some, not all, Gurudwaras in Canada too. This is not good. This is not at all good. Again, the moderate Sikhs have to start speaking up. At this point of time, people don't know who's a moderate and who's not. And I'm also seeing some changes in dress styles, and I can't make out one from the other. If I, having been of Indian origin, and I can't make out the differences, I'm sorry. This is not a good news. people have to come together. We have to trust each other. We have to build that trust, and we have to work together and speak with one voice. I'm also hearing some other things. Immigration companies are working with trucking companies and these gurudwaras and are charging between 35,000 Canadian dollars to 100,000 Canadian dollars in order to get you proper papers. I talked about this the other day when I was saying how some buses are coming up to shelters, picking up the illegals from New York City and busing them to Canada, where there appears to be one shallow ditch that you can wade through from US to Canada. And once you are in Canada, there is an organization I talked to you about that will pick you up, and then they will give you the paperwork and so on and so forth. So a lot of stuff happening, and unfortunately the Hindus who are hardworking, and we all think about our future, our kids' future, and our grandkids' future. Unfortunately, we forgot one thing, that we also need to have a political voice. This is something that US has started having. Again, in US, I see it sometimes, I take it with a pinch of salt, but at least some beginning has been made. I'm not very happy, or I'm not very proud about the Hindu/Sikh representation in my own state of California, but things are changing. A lot of us are now beginning to pressure our lawmakers. You cannot act ignorant. You cannot say, oh, if just because it is against some discrimination, therefore you have to pass the bill. You have to do your due diligence. We are not letting go of anything like that. A lot of organization is happening in California. We have started picking up the fight. The Cisco battle was like an eye-opener. Hopefully that will spur all of us to come together. Just a little bit of time. Like I said, please go to the link provided, link number 2 in the reference section. Click on that and express your support or write your concerns about what is happening to Hindus. That's all I have. I'll take a few questions. 𝗤𝚤 Vinod wants to know, I live in Brampton. The BLS here is a place of looting people without any shame. I've heard about it from many here. Could you expand BLS? Is it Brampton Legal Services or something else? I don't know what it is. If you could please expand it, 𝗤𝚤. Vishnu Sharma wants to know, see, life certificate can be endorsed by a notary public too. Well, I think there may be something beyond just that. I have a feeling, Vishnuji, that, see, notary public, you get it, right? Then you have to get it apostilled. You can't just take the notary public thing and give it, because if you do it in front of a consular officer, he kind of takes care of everything. You fill up the forms, he accepts it, you're done. I believe that is the process. Next one, please. Nina Dongre, thank you so much for becoming YouTube member. Rudran wants to know, Muslims occupy other countries in many ways, including refugees, multiply their population, form groups, and forcefully demand Sharia law. Seems PFI too planned the same. How to manage this? Well, for one thing, you need to be alert. And a lot of things will change. I'm hoping that the results in Maharashtra and Jharkhand will go in a certain way, which will strengthen the hand of the central government, and we will put the center on notice that they need to do some things, because a lot of that stuff is spilling over to United Kingdom, to United States, to Canada, to New Zealand, to Australia. The starting point is almost always in India, so we need to start looking there also, and we will take care of here too. Like I said in one of my other monologue, if you need to do your duty also, if you see something suspicious, if you see something that doesn't belong there, if you see somebody doing something, for example, somebody is aggressively knocking on doors of different people's houses and saying something, you need to start asking questions. Who are you? What are you doing? Why are you doing this? And don't take bullshit. That's all I can tell you, because this is going to start. I have seen this happen, and I sometimes when people come and knock on the door, I just give them a piece of my mind. They just never come again. Next one, please. Neeta now wants to know, BLS International is a company that the Indian consulate has outsourced their services in Brampton and few other cities. This is a recurring problem in every agency that handles all this paperwork. Unfortunately, they are given very strict instructions that unless everybody does everything to the T, don't accept it. And unfortunately for us, our passport spells our name one way and we remember our name another way, and then the problems start right from there. So you need to put a little bit more time, take a little bit more time, and put down all the things that are correct. Make sure that your application is 100% matching their requirements. And I've also had pretty terrible luck, I should say, in getting them to approve it. It takes a couple of attempts before everything goes through. Unfortunately, it's a very procedural thing. I'm sorry, that is how it is. Pawan Kishore wants to know, Salvation Army report indicated that 25% of parents are cutting back on food to feed their children because of financial issues. How bad is Canada's financial situation? What about the USA? Well, in Canada, Justin Trudeau just passed an interim law, temporary tax break on toys, takeout snacks, and more, and is also giving a $250 rebate. I think it may be per child. I'm not sure if it's per child or per family. The Trudeau is doing something like that. USA is not doing anything like that, but I think USA, the inflation is under a little bit better control. So things haven't gotten too bad. However, Pawan, I must tell you, sometimes when I go biking on one day of the week, where I live or where I bike, it's mostly middle class neighborhood. There are places where food truck will come and they'll give you essentials, like, for example, wheat, corn, rice, and a few other things, vegetables, and snacks, things of that nature, things that you can go quickly make food. And there is a line, 30-40 people standing. So there is some problem of not able to afford to staying. And Silicon Valley in California is very, very expensive. The city officials enjoy fat salaries. I'm sorry to say this. They have way too much salary, and for which, that alone, plus then see what happens is, if your salary is high, then your pension also tends to be high. And I don't see why they have to have such high salaries. All these things are constituting a big problem, and services are being cut back. Insurance has gone up 40 to 50%. I'm also hearing that many homeowners who have paid off their interest, that is, no more PMI, they are opting to no longer have home insurance. In California, you have to separately get for earthquake insurance. Home insurance does not cover earthquakes. So you have a home insurance, you have an earthquake insurance, two things that you have to take. So, and both of them have gone up tremendously in the last few months. And so is the case for health as well as for your auto. Everything has gone up 40 to 50%. So yes, affordability is becoming tough. Biden has done what I would call the devil's act on the life of Americans. And I don't know if Humpty Dumpty can be put back together by Donald Trump. Next one, please. Thank you, Sanjay. Thank you, Ninad Dongre, for becoming YouTube member. Mangat Ranga wants to know, how will Canada cope with more influx of immigrants, legal or otherwise, given that they already have issues? Can Canada afford to allow immigrants from US as suspected by PGurus report? Well, it is happening, and I got confirmation about what I had said, and it's Canada's problem. What can I say? See, all these things are being done by NGOs. If the NGOs pay off the politicians are going to look the other way. For example, Trudeau Foundation, the money that came in from Chinese individuals, from CCP, suspected, allegedly from CCP, they have not returned it. The guy is still sitting on that money. He's still the Prime Minister. Why aren't the Canadians taking action? Is this how they want their country to be run? You have CCP breathing down their necks. You have ISI loitering around. You have this KKK groups now. I mean, when will people live their lives? I'm sorry, Canadians. You guys have to wake up and smell the coffee. Next one, please. Elmo D'Souza wants to know, I've lived in Canada for 23 years now, and most of my family and friends in GTA, I think it is Greater Toronto area, if I'm not wrong, especially Brampton, call 𝙤𝙧𝙤𝙀𝘀 effing Khalistani. Enough of being politically correct. Khalistanis are terrorists. Very true, Elmo. This is something, in fact, another good friend of mine lives in Toronto, Canada. I need to reach out to him. He used to regularly contribute to PGurus.com. Wonderful articles that he has written. Indian from Kenya. Okay, next one, please. Maithili wants to know, Sree ji, is it true that Elon Musk is going to mint Alex Soros? What could be the agenda? Well, tone it down or or read the Riot Act, they may have some stuff on these people. I'm sure there is a lot of stuff on Soros. I myself have told you about how Kamala Harris saved one of his banks. And the bank's CEO ended up being the Treasury Secretary under the first Trump administration, Steve Mnuchin. What can I say? Next one, please. Trade wants to know, where is 𝗟𝗏 these days? I also don't know. He's been very, very busy, and I'll try to reach out to him. I tried a couple of times. Somehow the time did not connect. Otherwise, I would have invited him for a hangout. I'll let you know. I'm on it. Manof-san wants to know, 𝙥𝙤𝙤𝘀 is now calling himself a genocide survivor. Has he ever once set foot in India? I don't think so. He's born here in the in Canada. I don't think so. Well, that brings us to a close of today's program. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Don't forget to click on the bell button for notifications. Namaskar. Om Namah Shivaya.